The rain hasn't stopped in 3 days. You're huddled under a rock overhang with your family, soaked to the bone, and the only thing standing between your children and the cold is a small, dying fire. Wet skin loses heat 25 times faster than dry skin. If that flame goes out tonight, you cannot make another one. Not in this storm. Every stick for miles is soaked through, and rubbing wet wood together produces nothing but blisters. Somewhere beyond the firelight, something is watching, and the only reason it hasn't come closer is the flame. For most of human history, this wasn't a bad night. This was every rainy season, for months at a time, for hundreds of thousands of years. So how did ancient humans actually keep fire alive through weeks of relentless rain? Why fire was non-negotiable fire wasn't a comfort. It was infrastructure. It kept predators at a distance, since most large carnivores avoid flame, smoke, and crackling sound. It made food safe to eat, unlocking calories that raw food keeps hidden, which some scientists believe is part of why human brains grew as large as they did. And it kept people warm enough to survive nights that would otherwise kill. Losing a fire in the rain wasn't an inconvenience. It could mean losing everyone in the group within days, which meant fire couldn't just be made. It had to be protected like the most valuable thing the tribe owned, because, in a way, it was. Long-term survival meant planning before the storm arrived, not during it. Anthropological research on hunter-gatherer groups shows they read changes in wind, cloud pattern, and animal behavior to anticipate rain days in advance. That warning window mattered enormously because once the rain started, gathering dry fuel became nearly impossible. So ahead of a storm, tribes stockpiled dry wood, sealed it under natural shelter, and made sure the fire itself was burning low and controlled rather than large and exposed, since a smaller fire is actually easier to protect than a roaring one. The techniques that kept it burning. Here's the part that sounds almost backwards. When heavy rain was coming, the smartest move wasn't to build the fire up. It was to let it burn down to a bed of glowing coals, then bury those coals under a thick layer of ash. Ash is a remarkable insulator, and it's water-resistant too. Rain hitting an ash-covered coal bed doesn't reach the embers underneath. It just crusts over the top while the fire quietly smolders below for hours, sometimes overnight. Archaeologists have found ancient hearths with layer upon layer of ash stacked like tree rings, the same fire location reused for thousands of years. When it was time to move camp, tribes couldn't just leave the fire behind. They carried it. Researchers studying Otzi, the 5,000-year-old Iceman found preserved in the Alps, discovered fragments of charcoal wrapped in fresh leaves inside a container of birch bark. He was carrying a living ember, insulated to control its airflow and shielded from the weather in nature's own waterproof material. And ancient humans had an even more remarkable trick. A type of fungus that grows on dead birch trees, which smolders slowly for hours and barely reacts to damp air. Prepared correctly, it could hold a spark alive through an entire day of walking in the rain. If you're the kind of person who wants more of these overlooked survival details, hit subscribe, because this channel digs one up every week. When the fire died. Anyway, even with every precaution, sometimes the fire died. And when it did, groups didn't wait it out alone. Anthropologists have documented something remarkable, that when a tribe's fire went out, they would travel through the same storm that killed it, sometimes for days, to a neighboring camp and ask for embers. And other groups almost always shared, even rivals, because everyone understood the same truth. Next season, it could be them. Some researchers believe this kind of fire sharing between separate groups was one of the earliest forms of long-distance cooperation in human history, long before trade routes or alliances existed. And within a single camp, the fire was rarely left unwatched. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer sleep patterns show that across an entire night, someone in the group is almost always awake, a kind of natural rotating watch. Some researchers call it the sentinel effect. So think about that dying fire under the overhang again. It didn't have to survive by luck. It survived because someone buried it correctly, someone carried an ember shielded from the storm, someone chose the right fungus or the right dry branch, and someone stayed awake to watch over it while everyone else slept. Today, fire is a lighter in your pocket, instant and disposable. Back then, it was the single most protected resource a group had, guarded carried and passed down like an heirloom because losing it could end everything. And that obsession with fire never really left us. Even now, something in the body relaxes near a flame, especially when it's raining outside. That's not random. That's hundreds of thousands of years of ancestors who understood exactly what a fire meant and who never let the rain win.